So, you guys tell me about your band. Tell me how you got started, what you're doing. Uh, Give me the deets.
Oh, well, God, it's crazy because last night we just had a crazy practice, just watching this whole thing come together over 5 years, because that's really when it started, was 2019. Me and Ruben got together and just had a conversation, and thus was the birth of the idea, right? But I mean, to build it is another story. So, anyways, but yeah, it started at Guitar Center. Ruben, you're always better at telling that story.
So I remember I just came up here, no idea what I was gonna do. Well, my buddy at the time, we decided to go to Guitar Center, pass some time, right? I had just finished doing some interviews, didn't know what I wanted to do, but I'm like, you know what, let's jam out. So I remember going to the Guitar Center up north in Austin, the one off of Anderson Lane, and as soon as I walked in, I hear this godly sound, and it's Brian shredding. And I was literally a deer in the headlights. I turned, stared at him, and I remember he was just looping chords with a Spider Line 6 amp. I was like, damn, he's good. So, anyways, kept on going with my day. I still hear him shredding, so I get on the other side of the wall of the amps. And I start shredding. Then he hears it, and he starts shredding. And before you know it, we're just going back and forth, back and forth. He turns off his amp. No, man, it was getting good. And he pops around in the corner. Hey, which one of y'all is shredding? Oh, hey, what's up, dude? And we exchanged numbers, and we definitely stayed in contact.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't believe.
Yeah, it was definitely an impromptu guitar battle. It just happened. Um, and he was so good that I just had to stop. I was like, man, I give up. And I just had to like look around the aisle and be like, who is that? And I see two dudes. And then he raised his hands. And yeah, that was it.
Cool. So, what do you feel like? Well, let's back up a little bit. What brought each of you to music before that day? Like, what's your backstory and how'd you get there?
Ooh. Oh gosh, I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that one. Ruben, do you have anything off the top of your
You
head?
know, I've always been fond of music. I grew up listening to hip hop. I shouldn't say doing it, but listened to a lot of hip hop. My stepdad came into my life. That's when he introduced me to rock. First heard the guitar solo for Freebird. I lost it. I'm like, dude, what is this? And the years went on, and I joined band in middle school, and I remember thinking, I'm gonna play the guitar. It's gonna be awesome. They called me in. Do you want to play trumpet? What? So sucked it up. Did trumpet for a few years. I loved it, but I wanted something more. Then got into guitar, and I've always felt like I was the black sheep of the family because everybody else was doing their thing. I'm over here playing guitar nonstop, and of course, parents thought it was a phase, but it turned out to be a career choice at an early young age.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So you ended up working there, and that's kind of what brought you there that day.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Did you come up with something that brought you to music?
Um, yeah, I appreciate yours, Ruben, because it kind of mine happened in stages. It started when I was really young, and I was really responsive to singers, like even Shania Twain, when I was like 7 years old, singing stuff like that, and honestly, at 8 years old, singing opera or like the Star Spangled Banner, in the shower, just belting, and going through like your voice changes when you're like 12, and so eventually kind of transitioning just into school band, and then one day walking into the band hall and seeing a kid, like one of the band director's kids, just playing guitar, right? They were playing like a Green Day song, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen, So that was one big moment. And then I think hearing, AC/DC shortly after, I think it was like Thunderstruck, that really sucked me in, just the magic of guitar, and how it brought so many people together and just how cool it was, and I think that's really kind of how it all started for me, you know.
So far, what has been the most memorable moment together as a band?
Ooh.
Man, there are so many.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a
Right
lot.
now, as of now, the most recent memories, what Brian stated earlier on this call, is our practice session last night. Just really stepping back and, looking at each other. It's like, dude, all the hard work, all those restless nights, all those lessons and vocals are paying off. It's a lot of fun. So that's one of my recent memories.
It always feels good when you can feel things coming together. Like I do photography for bands, and I had one band that I've been with like since the beginning and watched them kind of like grow through their changes and their member swaps, and they've recently had some of those moments where it was just like, damn, you guys are hitting every point, and it's beautiful to watch that like transformation, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's special.
Speaking of which, a memory that pops up for me is leaving Corey's studio when we first recorded The Kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first time we ever did this, because originally this whole project in 2019 was a byproduct of frustration of other bands, right? We're just like, it sucks. So let's do something that we really want to like invest in and that we really are happy with. And so for 6 months we were just kind of trying to figure out what to even do. And we're like, you know what? Maybe we'll try singing. We can juggle it together, whatever. So we wrote this cover of The Kill because we didn't even know how good we were going to sound. We hadn't ever really tracked vocals in that capacity. And so we go to the studio and we just throw this thing down. And yeah, one of the most stark memories I have is us just like hearing ourselves for the first time.
That's
You know,
awesome.
raw vocals, unedited vocals, and it just sounded so wild, in a professional context. It's like, wow, we sound crazy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
say on that definitely takes some skill, is that's not an easy song.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we had to down tune it 3 half steps just to even be able to sing it. And since then, we've been in vocal lessons for like years, so it's just it's taken a lot.
Oh yeah.
So far, what would you say has been some of the best advice that you've received along the way that's really been, something that you've carried with you through your career?
Man,
Mm.
I know, Brian, I'm sure this resonates with you as well. Do the work.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Really? No way.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say do the work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the craziest advice when we were in music mentorship program. Remember hearing it and it never really clicked. It's so simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, go ahead, Brian. You want to share your part?
Oh, I mean, you stole it out of my mouth. I was literally thinking it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's yeah, it took a while to figure out. Um, but uh I remember reading about how I think how Jared Leto started 30 Seconds to Mars. He was looking at the album credits, of his favorite artists, and he basically would like point to the producers and be like, "Oh, I want to work with that guy." And after reading about that, I thought, So I would look at an album and I would look at all the credits and I'd see all these names, all these people doing all these things. It's a lot. It's an organization. It's a team. And then I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot of work. You know, like it's a business. Everyone's getting paid. This is everybody's like the bread they're winning, so it's like just thinking about what it takes to get a team of that many people to that place, right? And then reverse engineering that from the ground up is really where we started. So therein is the work.
So yeah, that definitely, I think that something that I've heard very commonly throughout almost any industry has been that, have to want it more than anything, and you have to put everything that you have into it and be willing to basically, do nothing but that and live that life completely.
Yeah. Pretty much. You have to like completely just throw yourself into the fire is an offering to the universe. Like, take me. Yeah.
Well, something that I think is interesting to ask, since you guys are kind of on the opposite end of this, is I like to ask what people see for the future of the music industry, just because of all the changes that have occurred with, AI and technology and just the way that the industry works in general. I think being a newer artist, it's be interesting to hear what you think about that.
Mm, that's a great question.
You
Thanks.
know, we literally touched base on this yesterday about AI music.
We
I
did.
asked, we were driving home from practice. I'm like, hey Brian, what are your thoughts on AI music? So Brian, you want to share your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. I feel like if it's good, it's good. I'm a pretty open-minded person. I've heard a couple instances that are just masterwork. It's as good as any other great song out there, and that's fine by me. It'd be a shame to have missed out on that beauty, is my thought. However, you have the other side where a lot of it sounds really cooked or artificial, or it's downright just wild. So there's just like stuff that doesn't sound good. And so um yeah, I guess it's a tool. I've seen some of my buddies here, even in Austin, with some of their demo tapes, just simulate vocals over their tracks, and it's really cool just as a creative tool. You know, so there's a lot of interesting things. And another thing I always thought was really cool was having a chance to hear like an alternate reality, like if somebody didn't die, like a vocalist or an artist, or if a member didn't leave a band and then that member was on that song instead. It's really quite an honor to hear those alternate realities, like hearing Chester Bennington again, in ways. Now it's controversial, and I just I'm an open person, but then there's the idea of people's careers and livelihoods being threatened, and then that's a whole other can of worms. And it's it's kind of a wild thought, and I don't know. I don't really know what I think on that. Yeah.
Sure. I have asked a few musicians, that are my friends, what they thought in private conversations, and heard, a mixture of reviews. Typically, what you hear is, if it, like you said, if it's good, it's good. But sometimes it's more of a tool, but you still need a human behind it to kind of, perfect it. Otherwise, it's very choppy and not human, and not good.
Yeah. Not good.
Word at this point, but
Yeah, it's I think we're still in there's three stages of AI. There's narrow, general, and then super intelligence, and we're still in the first narrow stage. So it's like just super fancy machine learning, right? It's almost like it's that sort of gray space between machine learning and something that is truly becoming self-aware.
the
Um,
Terminators are becoming perfected. No, I'm just kidding.
right, right.
So if there was something that you really felt like you wanted to be synonymous with your name, with your band, if someone brought you up at a party, or what would that be? What is it about your music that you would want people to talk about, or would be, the thing that would really.
Want them to feel that they're not alone. I want them to feel unity within us. I mean, we may not be there physically, but put on a pair of headphones, blast the songs, and get lost in it. Just know we resonate with you. We hear you, we feel you, and just we're here for every single one of you.
I love that. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I mean, the lyrics are really real. They're all about just painful life experiences or beautiful life experience, or whatever it is, that we've written a song about. And bottom line is it's just really real. We don't really know where else to put this kind of stuff. And so for the longest time it was just catharsis, it was release, it was a place to put all the things we couldn't say. And when we noticed that people started resonating or even saying that our songs was helping them, it was helping them overcome whatever they were dealing with, that's when I realized a whole new dimension of purpose to my pain. For so long it's like chaos, pain happens in your life and you're like, what's the point? It's easy to become like hurt, really hurt, jaded and nihilistic and not see the purpose in it. And this music has changed that.
I
And
love,
so, yeah, I think if there's anything I would want people to say, it's that we're, they're not alone, and for them to share too.
okay. Something a lot of people don't really know, and I don't actually tell a lot of people, is I'm in my last year of my psychology degree, and I want to use it to do counseling, but I did a focus in media and technology so that I could um, eventually own like a shop where it was books and records and movies that I could recommend to people to make them feel like they were not alone and that other people went through their experiences. So I feel like both what you guys said is like super cool and speaks to like my heart directly. So I love that.
That's amazing. I love that. I have a great deal of respect for psychology. I have stacks of books. Carl Jung is one of my favorites. I've been in therapy myself for like 8 years. It's changed my life. It's, I think, one of the major reasons Bridges is even happening. And Ruben's also been in therapy too, and it's really helped us both. So
Yeah, I have too. It's incredibly beneficial, and I recommend to all my friends to get therapy, even if they don't think they need it. Yeah,
yeah.
I
don't
feel that.
say it out loud. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was about to say. I feel that's the first sign when you say, "I don't need therapy." Yeah, I remember Brian was the one that kind of helped me kind of get over that hump. I remember I'd vent to him and he said, "Bro, have you thought about it? I don't need therapy." Wait a minute. And yeah, I've been in it for about a year and it's been the best thing.
It is. It's so amazing to, you feel like you can say anything and no one, they're not allowed to judge you. I don't want to cut short, but I know that you are short on your time,
I
and
know, I'm
I
sorry.
want you to be able to tell everybody where to find your music before you leave.
Okay, guys, it's available everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you want, even TikTok. Search us Bridges Ablaze and make sure you tag us as well. We would love that. We will share it and we will reach out to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And have an amazing day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.